Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Gravity Circuit. In the last one we started off the endgame levels in the Ark, and now time for more of that. Welcome back, Master Kai, sir. How did it go? Did you find Colonel? Unfortunately, no. He's already gone further inside the Ark. Oh, just what is he doing? I don't know, but I hope I can reach him in time. Alright, let me know when you're ready to go again, Master Kai, sir. Alright, but before that, might as well go take a look with NPCs really quick. Namely, I gotta spend that money I got in the first level of the Ark to get some more burst techniques, so I'm closer to that 100% marker. Because this is, by and large, 100% LP. I forget if I ever mentioned that earlier on. I'm not getting all the achievements, of course, because I've yet to get them all on my own playthrough, but, for 100% collectibles, that's the main thing here. That's what I like to do. Now, if there's one thing I would find neat, assuming this game ever gets a sequel, I'd really like for the sequel to actually have like a loadout screen where you can maybe swap between 2 or 3 different loadouts at any point in time just by pressing like the L2 or R2 buttons, as I think that'd be a nice way to allow you to swap your ships and all that without having to go through the menuing process every time. So you could have one for levels, one for boss fights, and then maybe one for troublesome situations otherwise, like swinging Crocus and all that. Alright, time for the Ark machinery. This is where you managed to reach last time, Master Kai. I've never been inside the Ark, so I don't know what actually lies in there. But based on our scans, there are still a lot of Virus Army soldiers in there. There just doesn't seem to be an end to these guys. Don't worry, Pat. I'm sure we can end this conflict soon. I hope so, Master Kai, sir. Just be careful out there, okay? Transfer to this location? Roger, prepare for transfer. So, the first stage in the Ark had quite a few elements ripped from some stages and then redefined using other mechanics. The second stage does that a little bit as well, but there's one specific platform type here that once you see it, you realize, wow, it was already kind of obvious these developers really liked Mega Man X, but they really like X too. Notably, by and large, most enemies in the game can be found in at least 2 stages if you're trying to get the compendium stuff done, and it's usually the stage they're found in and one of the stages here in the Ark. Though there are some enemies unique to the Ark stages itself. At this point, though, let's take this stage to finish talking about the game's staff. There's one more group listed in localization, and that's the group that did the Chinese localization, which is the Winged Hussars Cultural Communications Company Limited, Shanghai. Assuming it's the same company, the only other game that I can find that they worked on is Road 96, which I have basically never heard of. Next up is Copenhagen Production. They were the QA team. There were 2 people over it, a lead QA tester and a QA tester who are respectively Lubomir Simonovic and Alexandra Davidkovska. Both of them, albeit their roles differ, work on basically the exact same stuff in every game they're on. In fact, they're on most of the same games. Born of Bread, Fort Solace, Gravity Circuit, Harmony Fall of Reverie, Nocturnal, Strayed Lights. Those are a lot of things they do, and they're almost always a playtest coordinator, a QA manager, or a QA tester outright. At this point, after that is a technology credit, which is made with love from love2d.org. We reach the special thanks, which includes Dominic Neimark's wife, the Shenanigans crew with wild ideas, which I'm assuming are friends of the team that came up with some ideas that helped them along here and there, which are the Noodle Enjoyer, Envy, the Raisin Enjoyer, Rise, and the Quiz Enjoyer, Kaoribancho. Next up is the list of 1062 games made, which are Irbrozgi, JK, Kaora, Zoink, and Orange Vision. I cannot find much on any of them. Only one of them has a direct link to their name otherwise on Moby Games. And that is Irbrozgi, who is Iro Latinen, who was a tester on Zero Ranger, as well as a programmer on that game, if memory serves. Then we reach Lovable Fluffballs for Yuki, Amadeus, and Marley, so those dogs are all based off of real dogs. Afterwards, we reach the various colleagues credit list, which I'm assuming is a bunch of friends that gave advice and support throughout development. One of which we've actually talked about before, but we'll reach them when we reach them. First off is Mike Halanzi, who did some stuff in animation and pixel art for some of the Adventure Time games, was an animator on Indivisible, did some pixel art for Super Meat Boy Forever, as well as Cassette Beasts. Then it's Matthew Hurrell, who most of their other work is in scouting, so looking for investors, as well as working on that angle along a lot of other games. They're listed as special thanks in the Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom remake, this, Vernal Edge, Born of Bread, Scouting Wizard, Somerville, Revita, they were Scouting Wizard, so they do a lot of work on that angle. Afterwards, we reach a pair of Brazilian game developers who some of you might recognize the games they worked on directly as Joy Masher Studio, Thijs Whaler and Danilo Diaz. They are the ones behind Oniken, Odalis the Dark Call, Blazing Chrome, and Vengeful Guardian Moonrider. Games I, by and large, all enjoy from the ones I have played, and I really recommend, albeit Oniken can be a little brutal. They generally do such good sprite work as well. I need to play Vengeful Guardian Moonrider. That looks so up my alley. Then we got Andre Chaga Silva, who, outside of this, was also a game designer on Vengeful Guardian Moonrider, as well as Dreaming Sarah, so a friend of them once again. Then we reached Richard Lems, who was the main designer and creator of Mighty Goose, as well as did a lot of stuff on the game Kunai back in 2020. Then is the one that I foreshadowed earlier, Arna Hunziker, who was the creator and basically everything outside of music for Cyber Shadow, a game I did an LP of about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago at this point. That's a Ninja Gaiden-like I really enjoy. So this team and them being friends does not surprise me at all, honestly. Afterwards, the final of the various colleague credits is Enrique Martin, who this is their only game credit, so I'm assuming if they're not in this industry to begin with, they're probably, I would guess, a friend of the family kind of deal. Afterwards, we start reaching just other special thanks for other companies and people and all that. For instance, they once again thank love2d.org, which I didn't even mention what that is earlier. That's effectively the framework for the game's engine, which is, I believe, an open source free one. So, hey, if you're interested in game design, might be worth looking in to see if that one might suit what you need. And then we reach what I like to call the all-in-ones, where they like to thank everyone of a specific group all at once, like Pixodrome Games, Aurora Games, PID Games, and Plug-in Digital, all staff. Friends, family, loved ones, everyone who played demos, the players. But one specific one I find neat is they actually directly credit the European Speedrunning Assembly for allowing them to host demos. And I like when games get to showcase demos at events that aren't directly like PAX-level cons. So them being credited there, I find really neat. So we've already seen a couple at this point, but these are the platforms I was talking about. These platforms, they'll rise in and out of the lava, but it also can move horizontally and laterally outside of the lava. They're pretty directly that one platform type from the X-Hunter base in Mega Man X2. Their timing here can be a little strict, but I think my biggest issue with them is the size of them. I think they're a little too thin for the type of precision they actively want you to have here at the speed they want you to go for it, at least. If, say, they moved a little slower, I wouldn't mind it as much. But between moments like what just happened where sometimes I just don't grab onto them properly, I think this is a little too precise for its own good, at least for me in specific, especially at this point when I have no burst energy saved up. Because that is partially my fault because I used it all haphazardly earlier trying to get other things done. Swinging against the conveyor belts also is still not that comfortable, but hey, it's pretty short sections. And again, you have more burst techniques at this point, so if you can get the ability to use any, it could come in handy for getting through this. Speaking of burst energy, though, let's talk about something else you've already seen, but I didn't talk about, circuit mode. You get that for beating the game, and you can apply it in either a New Game Plus or on a fresh file. Circuit mode, you are capped at 2 burst technique pips at any point in time. In fact, any burst technique power-ups in the levels are replaced by extra health power-ups. That's because, if you don't have burst energy saved up, you can instead eat into your health for burst techniques, which means you can go kind of ham with them, because that means you can have so many more burst techniques available to you in terms of the amount you can use at once. That it also means it's very high risk, high reward. If you're not careful, you will eat up all your health and die probably in a single hit, and you need to be careful about that. It's a very interesting take on what is effectively a hard mode outside of the actual hard mode that I think is really neat. With that said, I don't think I've actively finished it, because it is rough. For now, though, let's talk about the boss fight here. Oh, hey, Colonel. Colonel, wait! Crap, I was too late.
Warning. Warning. Intruder detected. Engage circuit extraction protocol. Target gravity circuit.
Guess I'll have to deal with you first. This is the Circuit Crystal. It's a very large target that largely just fires an arc of projectiles that follows along towards you, and can also fire them in a direct circle. With that said, you might notice it only has a single health bar. There's a good reason for that. Once you reduce it to 1 health, it'll randomly select a circuit from the background and use one of that boss's attacks with a full new health bar. You do usually get some health after one of these sections, but be careful all the same. Hash's attack is a circle that's very easy to dodge. Once you reduce those forms to 1, it's boss rush time. At the end of every single phase, you have to fight the second half of a given boss fight starting from their burst technique, which means you need to be very aware of your space very quickly, otherwise you're probably going to take some pretty big damage. Notably, when you do die in this health, though, you do keep your progress for how many circuits you've defeated. And since you get health after every phase, ultimately it's not that bad even if you are going through, what is that at that point, 9, 10 health bars in a row? Notably, like most boss fights, there is an achievement for this boss, and it's beating the entire thing in a single health bar without dying, so be careful if you're trying to get that. I also want to say this might be the best boss fight for getting the achievement where you dodge a boss's burst technique 10 times in a row, because I think each of the 8 in the refights count, and if you can get them to do their burst technique multiple times, even better. I think this is a fun way to do a boss rush because it keeps up the high octane action the game's kind of been very consistent about. Although, if you didn't keep your progress if you died, this would probably be one of my least favorite boss rushes I've ever done. I will not lie. Especially on a first playthrough, because you're going to be all that more unprepared and reckless, and that could be rough real quick. If you're trying to be safe, in the case you're fighting either the Crash or the Blade circuit, take advantage of the fact you can actually grab their projectiles to throw at the main body to keep yourself a little safer too. Because you never know when you might need that extra little bit of health or distance to keep yourself from dying in some cases. Thinking about it, if they also made you do all 2 health bars for every boss fight, this would also be one of my least favorite boss rushes I've ever done, because that would be just way entirely too much health. But this is also a good fight where the enhancement chip I've had on basically the entire game that pulls me towards something is very good. Because I believe this boss fight in particular doesn't really get invincibility frames the same way as most of them, so you could just like grappling hook into it, do like a 1-2 punch, and then repeat that after you fall back down to drain through its health like 3 or 4 pellets at a time very quickly. It's very satisfying to get the pattern down right. Once you take care of the final refight against the Rebel Circuit, the boss fight and stage is over. Only one more stage to go in the game, and it's a lengthy one. But we'll talk more about that next time, because we got other stuff to focus on for the rest of this part. Mind, I say that, in my memory, the first 2 arc stages are longer than they actually are, but that's because I'm counting the cutscenes in there in the case of the first stage. And the second stage has the benefit of also being the boss rush, so it just feels a little longer than it actually is. And that's, again, length you don't really notice as much while you're playing it. It's when you're watching it or doing replays, you go, oh wow, there's a lot here. Welcome back, Master Kai, sir. Any luck with finding Colonel this time? I saw him, but unfortunately he managed to slip away. Oh, this is all so stressful. Wait, something's coming. An earthquake? What's happening? The Ark. Something must have activated there. If it can shake the ground all the way here, it must be something huge. I'll go take care of it. Oh, of course, Master Kai. Just let me know when you're ready. This is your last moment to get anything you want done before going into the end game. That earthquake confirmed my worst fears. The Ark most certainly holds a secret, something much older than most of us. Just what could it be? Upon finishing the second stage of the Ark, you can get that character's disc finally. With that said, for commentary flow reasons, we're not going to be accessing the end game level until several minutes into the next part. And even then, we're not going to finish it because it is a very long stage for reasons. What we're going to be doing for the rest of this part into the start of next part is showcasing a lot of extra stuff we still have to do for 100% on top of otherwise optional stuff in the game. And it's going to take a lot of money because that also includes doing the rest of the disc compendium. Now, at this point in the game, you can actually have every single enemy disc because you can encounter them all before the final level. But discs you cannot get by this point are the first 2 character discs and the final 2 boss discs. I think I'm missing one other character disc, and that's because I forgot to pet the dog long enough, or I may have written over a save in such a way while doing copying and pasting that I technically lost a disc in recording in some way. And to start that, we're going to revisit Trace's stage because I am in specific missing the bug enemies disc that drops out of the hatch type enemies. This is also how we can showcase something I talked about earlier in the LP. In a later update, they allowed you to start from any given checkpoint in a stage you've beaten, assuming you've come across it, just to help expedite finding things like pallet chips or hostages in the case you know where they might be. The problem with that is, I'm going to be playing through all the stages in their entirety anyway, including refighting the boss fight if memory serves, as that'll allow me to get more money in total to afford the compendium disc unlocks as we go. On top of that, if you're trying to technically do a sort of high score one, you're going to want to do that anyway, although I don't think any of the achievements from memory from when we talked about them earlier in the LP technically required that, which I guess is handy. Next up, we're going into Melody stage, because I needed those blue flying enemies that are near Spike's disc. You can find them very early and very regularly throughout. Afterwards, we are next heading over to, I believe it's Hash's stage. The enemies that shoot at you when you pass through the security beams, I am missing their disc. They start showing up at about the 1/3 point of the stage, I want to say. And whether or not you get it early on or not is random, but that said, you can only actually destroy the enemies after you touch the security thing, so when they're trying to attack you. That is now every enemy disc, and from the money I got along the way, I'm now 13,000 plus richer, so I can not only pick up the final burst technique, but also all the discs, effectively, that I can purchase from the compendium. Oh wow, you've emptied Nega's stock! I'm sure Nega will be really happy about this. Something I'm not sure about, and hey, if you know, hey, say in the comments below. I'm not actually sure if Nega himself has dialogue on New Game Plus if you finish purchasing the burst techniques from him directly. I'm assuming he probably does, I just always have them beforehand because I like seeing the number go up beforehand. For now though, let's unlock every single disc we have thus far. Every single enemy disc costs 50 coins, every single character costs 100, and every single boss costs 200. Combine that all, it's just over 7,000 money to get everything. I'm not actually sure if the money actually has names. It's probably like credits, I would assume. Although with that icon, it could very well be called Bitcoin, and I don't like that. By and large, it's just funny little lines about every single enemy and all that. It's very much like the secret discs in Mega Man 03 and ZX Advent, where it's very brief things. You can see their sprite move about and do all that. It's cute, it's nice to have, but unlocking every one of them isn't necessary for 100% from my memory. You do need to get them all for 100%, but you don't need to, like, spend the money on it. So if you're just trying to grab all the discs along the way and use your money on burst techniques or enhancement chips, don't worry too much about that from my memory, unless future me is coming in going, no, I'm wrong right about now, in which case, hi, future me. Hope you're doing well. Next up is probably the thing I'm handling the weirdest in this particular LP, as we're gonna go talk about the calm boss refights just above the stage select. As I mentioned, you get these as you play through the game. You get more and more as you go, but there is actively something tied to this. But we actually can't get that thing until we've beaten the game. But just to showcase what you can do in this, every boss fight is here, but that also includes things like gauntlets against the circuit crystal, where you need to fight the boss itself as well as every single one of the refights. In order to get the item in question, you need to beat either 13 of the boss fights in the main side of it, or one of the 2 things on the far right side that are separated by that little triangle. That said, again, can't do that until post-game. And me forgetting that was even a thing at the time I was recording this particular section of the footage, because this was at like 5, 6 a.m. at the time. Just wanted to showcase this thing using the Crystal Gauntlet to begin with. Not exactly the best way I can handle this, but oh well, with that said, because we're effectively doing the boss rush for the second time in the same video, I am gonna once again speed this up, so hit it. Honestly, nowadays, I kind of consider the boss refight station to be my favorite thing in the game to just pick up and go do something in. Not to say I don't like the levels. I absolutely love the levels, I love the characters, I love basically everything about this game. But I think the boss fights are so much the highlight for me that having them on quick access is just so good to me. At this point though, we're back to the stage select, and I'm selecting the Arc entrance. This is after I've beaten the game. As like I mentioned when we were in this level last time, there is an item that only spawns here after beating the game. Personally, I think they should actually change it so that this spawns after beating the stage. But I get why it's after the game though, because it would be a little busted to have for the end game potentially on a first run. After I re-grab these chests because they're shiny even though I don't need the money anymore, down here on that green platform there is now a pallet chip. This is one of the 2 bonus ones. I guess technically 3 counting the Onyx one we got earlier on from the training room. So I guess 3 bonus ones? This one in specific gives you Nega's color scheme. And with it, it allows you to press down in the burst button to grab a block from the floor like he can. You can either throw it as an attack there, or you can press the button again to increase the strength of your next burst technique. The potential of this one is wild. To the point where if you want to do achievements in the game, especially beating circuit mode, I recommend going to get this first, as it'll allow you to get more mileage out of the burst techniques you're going to use along the way in that particular playthrough. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 11, we're going to showcase 1 or 2 more things before heading off towards the start of the final level. See you guys then.